Listen, whoever says that quoting memes is not a personality trait, please leave this video, because my personality is all about the memes. If I don't have memes, I don't know who I am. So, hello my friends, it's Isabella, and today I am going to be tier ranking all of the books that I've read in 2020 so far, which have been a total of 54 books. So I thought it would be fun to play with my bangs and have an existential crisis. I have read a very interesting batch of books. I have a lot of different opinions for a lot of these, and I just want to share them with you guys, and I've always wanted to make one of these tier ranking videos. As always, I'm late to the party, but I'm here. I'm going to go through my tiers first so that we can be on the same page about this. The first one is Promised My Firstborn. So I do this a lot. I don't know how many firstborns I'm going to be having at this point, but whenever a book kind of like takes over my life and makes me its I just like to promise my firstborn, because it's the least that I can do for what they did for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an amazing book, and it's such a brilliant book that I want to do anything in my power to thank them for letting me read them. The second one is Can You Find My Wig? Now, these are books that blew my mind. They were incredible. They were fantastic. It doesn't fully reach the Promised My Firstborn, but they're still pretty incredible books that were amazing and I would recommend to everybody. The third tier that we have is Not Complaining, and for me this is like a pretty basic book, but it was a pretty entertaining read. I had fun. It was entertaining. How many times have I said entertaining? I'm not sure. The fourth tier is Yeah Thanks But No Thanks Love, and it's like thank you, but I'm gonna leave you there. Like, I don't really want to see you again. It was kind of fun. I wouldn't burn you at the stake, but I wouldn't take you out to dinner. You know what I mean? That could have stayed in the draft, sis. Listen, I'm funny, okay? Tell me I'm funny or perish. But basically, as the title says it, these are books that just should have had like a second round of rewrites, should have maybe even never been written or like conceived. Now that I've explained all of my tiers, I am very excited to start tier ranking. The first book that I have here is Death Note Volume. Don't know the volume because it cuts right there, but this manga is filled with a lot of morally gray characters that I am so here for. My number one weakness, morally gray characters. Not that I would personally date Light Yagami, but yes. Honestly, you know what? I'm not gonna be shy. I'm gonna put both of them in Can You Find My Wig? Because I love this manga. I love these morally gray characters. I love blurring the line between good and evil. I love posing these questions to myself of, if you were in this position, what would you do? I cannot find my wig. Please find it for me. Okay, this next one is also a manga, and it's Ao How to Ride. You know, it's just like girly, it's quirky, it's comfy, it's fun, easy. I mean, can I throw any more adjectives here? I think I'm just gonna be like not complaining. It was cute, it was entertaining, it didn't have a lot of substance, like it was missing a little bit of that sazon, but okay, here we have the very first book that I have promised my firstborn to, Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. If anybody is surprised, hi, welcome to my channel. The magic that she blends into her books and the way that she makes her characters make you want to sacrifice your own life for them, it's really wonderful, and I think that's beautiful. Uzumaki, written by Junji Ito. And for this one, again, I'm gonna have to give it to Can You Find My Wig, because this was my very first horror manga. It was so twisted and it was so horrifying and terrifying. Like, I could feel the goosebumps like rising in my skin. I wanted to crawl out of my body and just leave this world, no book has made me feel quite like Uzumaki made me feel. So I definitely lost several wigs while I was reading Uzumaki. Okay, there's gonna be a lot of books in Can You Find My Wig because A Man Called Ove is also going to be going there. A Man Called Ove is basically the movie version of the Pixar movie Up. This was such a beautiful book and so heartbreaking, and it really made you think about life and death and life after death. Just emo. I'm emo. The Battle of the Labyrinth by Percy Jackson. No, Percy Jackson is not the author. Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth, written by Rick Riordan. Can You Find My Wig? In general, I think I would give my whole family to Rick Riordan because I feel like he's one of those authors that can never do any wrong. He's probably the only unproblematic white man to exist, and I really respect him for that. Like, I know it's so hard to be on the right side of things sometimes, so I really respect that ability that he has. This year I told myself that I wanted to reread the whole series of Harry Potter, you know, just to relive those magical moments and to be back in the world that shaped my childhood and shaped the person that I am today. And then J.K. Rowling, the creator of this world, the creator of Harry Potter, decided to be transphobic and decided to be so... I kind of wish that I were tier ranking authors so that I could put J.K. Rowling in. That could have stayed in the draft, sis. I don't know why I'm acting like not complaining is the worst tier to be in. It's just... Before this year, before 2020, it would have been in Promised My Firstborn, yet here we are. We should all be feminists, and for this, I am going to put in Not Complaining. I did find it really informative, and I found it to be very insightful, but I also feel like since it was written a while ago, there are a few terms that feel a bit outdated. We have Love Boat Taipei. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks, love. There's summer camps, and there's love triangles, and there's just unnecessary teenage drama. And at first I thought it was me. It was me that I was just over YA contemporary books. Then I realized it's the book. Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. It's going in this tier because even though it's this memoir about being more open to possibilities and to face your fear of change and face your fear of the unknown, all those, you know, self-help type of books, I just thought that she didn't really go as far as she could have with this book, so it felt a bit lackluster to me. The Titan's Curse, probably one of the best Percy Jackson books. I said what I said. So Promised My Firstborn, Percy Jackson. If you don't know, Percy Jackson is everything to me. It's basically Harry Potter but unproblematic. There we go. Sea of Monsters, Can You Find My Wig? Because it is not my favorite Percy Jackson book, but it still has its merits. It has Percabeth, or is it Persabeth? Because it's Percy, Ooh, anyways, Born a Crime by Trevor Noah, another memoir, and I'm going to put it in Not Complaining because the way that he explores his childhood and his relationship with his mom is just brilliant, and I loved it, so I'm definitely not complaining. The Way I Used to Be came... Not complaining. Trigger warnings for sexual assault and PTSD. It was really beautiful. It was really heartbreaking. Final Girls by Riley Sager. I think this also belongs in the yeah thanks but no thanks love because it had so much potential, but then everything became so blaringly obvious, and I feel like the author just kind of gave up on the story and was like, okay, let's just give them whatever ending I can come up with. I don't really care about it anymore. And we felt that. We felt the lack of care. The Last Mrs. Parrish. Oh my god. This is the type of book that you kind of wish you could burn before anybody else has to read this. The hate towards women and the way that women are described and belittled, it was so disgusting, and every time I think about this book I barf a little in my head. I barf a little in my mouth. Not a pleasant experience, would not recommend. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, by far my favorite Harry Potter book. but I cannot put it promise my firstborn. I mean, I did technically promise my firstborn to it, but not anymore. You know what? Can you find my wig? I'm sorry, I have to. I cannot lie. I don't want to lie to you guys. Educated, a memoir. This goes in Can You Find My Wig? Educated follows the story of this girl that grows up in this family that are survivalists, and they are always preparing for the end of the world, and they think the government is against them, and they don't believe in schools. You're brainwashing your children into thinking that everybody is out to get you. So this is the story of the girl that was raised in this family and manages to escape, and it's so wild. There were some parts where I was like, this cannot be real, this must be fiction, this is horrifying, oh my god. And yeah, so Can You Find My Wig? Because I can't. Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. This is another thriller, and I'm not complaining. It was pretty good. That definitely took me for a spin. Did not know where I was heading, and I'm still not sure if I like where I ended up, but I was definitely not expecting that, and that's what thrillers are all about, I guess. An Ember in the Ashes. Hi, have y'all met my wife? The other book that I have promised my firstborn to. Listen, here we go. An Ember in the Ashes I read a month ago, and it feels like we've been together for years. It's one of those relationships where you've known each other for minutes, but it feels like years, and you just feel like you can say anything to them and they won't judge you. And just looking at Laya in the cover, it warms my heart. I love her. I would give anything to her. This story is inspired by Roman gladiators, and there's also prophecies, and there's also freaking girl power. Okay, Wicked Saints. You know what? When I read it, it would have been a Can You Find My Wig? But now I think I'm just gonna put it at not complaining, because it's one of those books that you really enjoy when you're reading them, but then in retrospect, did you really enjoy it, or did you enjoy the experience of reading it with somebody else, which is what I did. Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. This is a sequel to Children of Blood and Bone. I feel like it was a good sequel to Children of Blood and Bone, but there was definitely something missing for me, so not complaining. Even though for a while there I could not find my wig, but I ended up finding it, so it's fine. King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Lee. Okay, I think I'm just gonna put it in yeah thanks, but no thanks, love. I really love Nikolai Lantsov. He's probably the only character that I like from the Grisha trilogy, and I don't think I like it. I don't think that's what I asked for, so I would like to give it back. All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. I read this. This is a memoir. I read this. Am I complaining? Not really. But can you find my wig? Yes, I can. Heartstopper is where I get my endorphins from. How are you? I am going to find my wig. It's so quirky and adorable and nerdy and stupid, and they're just stupid teenagers in love, and I love it here. I love this safe space that we have created. The Dragon Republic. No questions asked. Ghosts of the Shadow Hunter. What? Ghosts of the Shadow Market. Can You Find My Wig? There are also some stories that I don't care for, so that's why I haven't promised my firstborn, but I still have a little trouble finding my wig. Fence Volume 3. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks, love. I'm not even 0% into Fence, and this is really focused on fencing, like the sport, so maybe it's not for me, and it's time that I realize that. Okay, the other two books of Heartstopper, I'm just gonna go and put them right next to the first one in Can You Find My Wig? No questions asked. The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Save Me, the BTS webtoon. I promised my firstborn to this webtoon. Yes, I am not going to lie to you guys. I am a sucker for Save Me. This was my very first webtoon, and honestly, I cried, I laughed. The Toll by Neil Schuster, man. I'm not complaining. That was a really good ending to the arc of the Scythe trilogy. I respect it. I respect that man for what he did, what he was not afraid to do. I respect it. Get a Life, Chloe Brown, probably one of my favorite romance books of the year. I already want to reread it because it was so fun. It's about this girl who, yeah, I loved it. Okay, now we have the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood manga. I have promised my first child, my firstborn, to Full Metal Alchemist several times. Full Metal Alchemist is my favorite everything, my favorite manga, my favorite anime, and it deserves to have as many firstborns as there are available. Wayward Son, oh, that's fun. This is the sequel to Carry On, and that definitely should have stayed, should have, could have, would have stayed in the drafts, sis. Kind of wish Carry On was a standalone, if you know what I mean. Crescent City, hi, king or queen or both. I love you no matter what. I won't accept any questions at this time or ever. Serpent and Dove. I'm gonna put it at Can You Find My Wig? It's a good place to be. Can you find my wig? It's definitely not the next Romeo and Juliet, but I really enjoyed it. The Last Olympian, yes. Yes. The Beautiful by Renee Audier, vampires set in New Orleans in the 1800s. Yes, my love. Can you find my wig? The Tourist Attraction, not complaining. It was so cozy, and it's set in Alaska. It's about this girl that goes to Alaska, and there's this guy that hates tourists, but then they meet, and it's like, maybe I don't hate all tourists. It's angsty, it's dramatic, it's romantic, and I love it. Conventionally Yours. Yeah, thanks. But no thanks, love. It sounds amazing, like road trips, enemies to lovers, incredible, insanely entertaining, but it wasn't. Y'all know what? Now that I'm talking about it, that could have stayed on the draft, sis. On that note, Imagine Me could have also and should have also stayed in the draft, sis, because I mean, the whole set of new books should have stayed in the draft. It shouldn't have even been on the drafts. I stand by this. I said what I said. If We Were Us, yeah thanks, but no thanks, love. Cute concept, poor execution. Felix Ever After. I really loved this book. It's about this transgender boy who is being blackmailed, and he's trying to find out who's blackmailing him, and it's this really wonderful and beautiful story about finding your community, finding out your identity, being comfortable with who you really are, letting yourself be loved and love other people as well, which is not always the easiest thing to do. And then the author went ahead and did stuff that I'm just not a fan of, and I'm just gonna put it in not complaining, because I'm really not complaining about the book, I'm complaining about the author. Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. Can You Find My Wig? It's a really beautiful exploration of sisterhood and grief. The Black Flamingo, I'm not complaining, you know, I'm not complaining. It didn't leave a lasting impression, but it's not like it was problematic or anything, even though it does mention RuPaul. Beach read. Okay, this is when I read this in a day, one day. I haven't done that in so long, but this book, oh my god. This book was recommended to me by Read by Tiffany, and oh, it was so good. But then I was talking to one of my friends, Padua, and she actually told me that it is very problematic. After I had already given it 5 stars and after I had already promised it my firstborn child. So if I want to be ignorant, if I want to be obtuse, I would put it in Promised My Firstborn. But I'm not. I cannot pretend to not see. So but it was so good. Okay, y'all know what? I'm going to demote it 1 tier because of its problematic issues, but it's still going to be in Can You Find My Wig because I just can't deny that I am trash. This book made me its trash, and I'm not really complaining. Coraline, the movie was better, so I'm just... I'm not complaining because if I put it in Yeah Thanks But No Thanks Love, it probably wouldn't have made it into a movie, and I really love the movie. Like, it's probably one of my favorite movies that I've seen this year, so I'm not going to complain about the book. I'm just gonna pretend it doesn't exist. Problem solved. Bloodlines. I promise my firstborn. I am trash for vampires. I don't know if you know this about me. I don't know if we've really talked about our kinks, but Bloodlines, yeah, it does it for me. The Lightning Thief, Can You Find My Wig? And the last one, Lore Olympus, my very second webtoon that I've read, also by recommendation of Read by Tiffany. Promised my firstborn lesson. Lore Olympus is basically a different take on the King of the Underworld and Persephone and their love story and their story as a whole as well. And there's also a bunch of other Greek gods like Ares and Eros, Aphrodite, Zeus, Poseidon. Like, it's basically... Oh, it's so good. It's so good, y'all. Like, please, y'all are missing out if you haven't read Lore Olympus. And those are basically all of the books that I've read in 2020 so far, ranked from the best to the absolute worst. Hopefully y'all had fun. I know I did. I love you all so very much. I hope you're staying safe and staying healthy. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Hey Jimmy, you nice, keep going.